Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's your girl, Plant-Based Nicole with Plant-Based with Nicole podcast. Today, coming to you live. I am just going to wait for a few people to join. Actually, no, I'm not. I'm going to go ahead and go, and you'll be here soon. Hi, Healthy Super Food Diet Coach. I'm going to be interviewing a special guest, Torre Washington, who is a vegan bodybuilder. A lot of people wonder, how do you build muscle on a vegan diet? Well, we're going to find out today. I'm going to go ahead and read his bio. Torre Washington is an NASM certified coach, speaker, and IFBB Pro competitor. Raised vegetarian and vegan since 1998, Torre built his physique entirely on a plant-based regimen without the aid of supplements since 2009 to 2018. Torre's training style focuses on physical symmetry and aesthetics. He disassembles your physique and reassembles it back the way you want it to be, and has therefore become one of the most sought out coaches of celebrities and bodybuilders globally. Torre also advocates for veganism to his global fan base and brings to the light the plight of animals and the need to heal Mother Earth through living a more plant-based vegan lifestyle. So I'm excited to interview Torre today. Thank you, Your Fit Camera, for joining. Three Blessings, T-Versi. Sorry if I'm saying your name wrong. And Torre is here, so we're going to go ahead and bring him on. And go ahead and request me, Torre. So we're just waiting patiently. Hi, T-Vegan. 1 second, Torre says. So how's everybody doing while we're waiting? Where's everybody tuning in from? I always like to know where everybody's at. Thank you guys for joining today. I'm really excited to interview Torre. I've been knowing of him for years. Hi. Hello there. Thank you for joining. Do you guys all follow Torre? If not, go ahead and follow him now. He's awesome. I mean, he is a bodybuilder, okay? Have you guys ever met a vegan bodybuilder? I haven't. So I'm excited to interview him. Thank you guys. Make sure you guys share this live to 5-10 people. Go ahead and just click on that little arrow on the bottom right and just send it to somebody's inbox. 5 people. Share the live. Share the live. We're just waiting for Torre. Okay, let's see. Here he goes. Let's see. Can you hear me? Give me a thumbs up or give me a smiley face. Hey,
How are you?
I'm doing well. How are
Doing
you?
well. Doing well. A little tired, but I'm doing well.
You're tired. I know you're busy. You're very, very busy. And I thank you so much for taking the time to come on today. Because I know, I mean, like, you got a lot going on. You can hear me
Yeah,
okay?
I hear you perfectly fine.
Okay. First of all, I met you. I know you don't remember because you meet so many people, but I met you in LA, like, I don't know, maybe 8 years ago or so. You and Badass Vegan were at, I think it was like a vegan convention or something. You guys were selling them badass cookies. Remember the cookies?
I wonder if that was the Green Festival.
Yeah, I think it was.
Was it in an arena or some
Yes,
type of convention center?
yes.
I believe, that's a long time ago.
And I know you're not going to remember, but I'm going to remember you guys. But you remember them cookies?
Yeah, I sure do. Those cookies were,
What happened to the cookies?
I mean, that's something you would have to ask Badass Vegan because, that's
That
whatever
was
happened
his.
there. I mean, but they were some good cookies. I missed
Yeah,
it.
and they had like, didn't they have like protein in them or something?
Yes.
That was funny. Okay, first before we start the interview, I want to play a little game. Let's test your speed and how fast you can think without pausing, hesitating, or stalling. You have to be quick with it, okay? I'm going to tell you Well,
sign
first,
up
before
for
we
here?
start,
What do I
huh?
sign up for here?
What'd you sign up for? First, before we start, I want to know if you were stranded on an island and you had no tools or anything, what would you eat to survive?
What would I eat to survive? No tools, no nothing. I mean, it all depends on what kind of island it is, but I'm sure I'll find some coconuts and survive off of that.
Yeah. Okay, and then if you had a choice on the island of poisonous berries or eating fish, what would you eat?
Poisonous berries.
Okay, so we're going to start the game. I'm going to give you two categories and you pick one, but you can't pause, stop, think, or anything. You got to be quick with it. Okay, ready? Whey protein, soy protein,
Soy protein.
tofu, seitan,
Seitan.
sweet potatoes, red potatoes,
Sweet potatoes.
HIIT, steady state cardio,
Steady state.
CrossFit, weightlifting,
Weightlifting.
carbs, protein,
Carbs.
badass vegan, aka John Lewis, Johnny Juicer,
Wow.
your boys.
I'm plead the fifth on that one.
I know that was a tough one. Okay, one great vegan, fully raw Christina.
Plead the fifth. I mean, come on, man.
Okay, how about this one? Sade, India, Irie.
Shut it.
Okay, yes, Sade. I was hoping you were going to say that. Okay, thank you. You got 8 points out of 10. You passed it by 2. But anyway, okay, so let's see. So you were, let's get into the interview now. You were raised vegetarian.
Yes.
And now, when you were vegetarian, everybody has different definitions. So, were you still eating eggs and dairy and fish, and just not eating the meat, or like what's vegetarian diet to you?
I didn't really have the control over it. You know, I was raised by my mom that way, and that was because of her religious background, which is Seventh-day Adventist. And of course, as a Seventh-day Adventist, in that time, they didn't eat fish. So, and maybe egg whites were in the food that was prepared, as in, you know, sometimes a lot of the vegetarian foods will have egg whites, you know, say vegetarian, but it has egg whites. So that was that, and not necessarily cheese or anything like that, but there was no type of carne, no poisson, no fish, no flesh.
Okay. So in 2009, you decided to go vegan. You were vegetarian, and you were like, let's go up a notch. What made you decide to go vegan?
So I'm gonna correct you. I went vegan in 1998.
Oh, no. Sorry, you're right. 1998. You know what I'm thinking? 2009 is when you said you were you built your physique on a without supplements from 2009 to 2018. So I had that date in my head. Back up. So 1998. Why did you decide to go fully vegan? Why wasn't vegetarian good enough for you?
Well, that's not even I say vegan because that's the terminology or the label that's been used to this day in order to technically describe people and put them in a box, you know, which I really just use it because that's what people can identify with. I don't identify with any label per se. But 1998, the decision that I chose in order to be more ITAL, I say ITAL because I started really becoming more involved with the life of the Rastafari. And as a Rastafarian, most of them are ITAL. ITAL meaning they only eat food that comes from the earth. And so when I was learning more about this way of life, I recognized that being vegetarian doesn't fit the protocol. And, you know, and not to be a hypocrite and to call myself Rasta, but still, you know, there's eggs or something in my food, I decided to make sure it was all plants and fruits. And lo and behold, later on in life, people say, hey, you know, you fit under this label, you're a vegan. And I said, okay, I didn't know what that was at the time.
Right.
So I had to learn a bit about what a vegan was because in the environment that I was brought up in, that terminology was never used.
Yeah.
So it was something new.
Right.
And that brought it to me. So I had to learn more about that. And then lo and behold, technically, I've been vegan, you know, which is just letters put together to create word and put your box over here so people can place you and this, that, and the other. So yes, That's why. So I chose that lifestyle because I didn't want to be considered a hypocrite. It wasn't health related, it wasn't environmental, it wasn't animal related, it wasn't any of those things that are commonly associated with someone that turns into vegan.
Nice. And it's been 24
Yes,
years
man.
that you've been eating this way. That's amazing. That's like a really long time. So, kind of jumping over here. So, what's inspired you to become a bodybuilder?
Whew. Well, the inspiration for me to be turned into bodybuilding actually arose from my desire to look a specific way because, being raised by a single mom, just me and my brother. When we moved to Jamaica, we were picked on a lot because of our accent and how we sounded. Because I was born in the States, even though my culture and my background is Jamaican. I was born in the States, and when I moved to Jamaica, we were picked on. So we watched a lot of cartoons, and I looked up to a lot of the Wolverine and Superman. Those were my two favorite comic book characters. And when you draw a comic book character, they're typically drawn with a lot of bulging muscles and a physique that's phenomenal. Sometimes it's a physique that you really couldn't truly attain as a human being. So my goal was to somehow attain that look. And once I saw bodybuilding, the reason I saw bodybuilding was started watching Arnold Schwarzenegger and, seeing his movies. And then I learned about his history and where he came from. And I saw it was bodybuilding. I got him there and I said, you know what? I'm going to start lifting weights. And I started lifting weights while I was in Jamaica. And then when I moved back to the States, I continued lifting with just a dumbbell and a bench because, it's all we could afford at the time.
Yeah.
And once I got into high school, I started to go to the gym in the school. And then I was able to get a membership because I started working at Gold's Gym. And then from that point on, I started reading magazines and just reading all about bodybuilding. And I wanted to compete while I was in high school, but it never manifested that way. I ended up going to college and took a whole different route. And bodybuilding didn't come back into my life until about 2008. And then 2009, I started competing.
Nice. So, okay, this is amazing. So, in your bio, you built your physique on a plant-based regimen without the aid of supplements from 2009 to 2018. First of all, I think that's just dope that you built your physique on plant-based. Normally, people that are vegan bodybuilders, they were once the regular standard American diet when they started building their physique, right? And then they transform over to vegan. But a way of living. I know you don't like to be titled, but for the sake of this,
No,
we'll just say vegan.
Go ahead.
Okay. You actually built your physique eating this way. I think that's like amazing because, people just don't think that you can do
Correct.
that, right?
Right.
Like you can't build muscle on eating vegan. Hello, well, we have Torre Washington to prove you all wrong. So when you said that you built it without the aid of supplements from 2009 to 2018, what did you mean by that? Like, did you start doing supplements after 2018?
Correct.
And if so, what were the
So
supplements?
the supplements, a lot of times, even to this day, people say, oh, well, you got to use a ton of supplements in order to look like that. And I have to come back or clap back in the sense that the reason I said that, a lot of times we were going to stick with that mantra because I was a person, when I started bodybuilding, I didn't like to use anything outside of food to get the look because I thought, in my mind, you don't need that stuff. It's called supplements for a reason. It's a supplement. It's not a necessity. And so I was very adamantly against them. And, me and one of my close partners, he also was against them, And so once I started learning more about them, researching them more, and I recognized that in life, everything has its place, right? And so between the years of 2009 and 2018, I still didn't use them. I didn't use creatine. I didn't use protein powders. I didn't use, branched chain amino acids.
Wow.
And those are the things that everybody, raves over, that you got to take them, you got to take them. And I never did. And so in 2018, I decided to hire a coach because, I realized that every great coach has a coach.
Yeah.
Sometimes we think that we can do it all on our own. And I just stepped it up to the next level, as well as having a different set of eyes on me because we are more critical of ourselves than someone else will be, because they can understand you from it. You know, we can see ourselves like, oh, I'm not lean enough. And they're either like, you are too lean, you know, whatever. And so in his suggestion, he increased my protein to a point where I needed to increase it by adding protein powder. That way I can limit my intake of carbohydrates. And every now and then he said, maybe throw some amino acids in there to see if that would, see what it would do. And so I started doing that. And then I added creatine. You know, creatine, just, our bodies do produce creatine, but not enough. And, these little things add 1 to 2% better to our bodies. And so I was just doing it, just to see, because rather than knock it and not give it a shot, I had to give it a shot first. And so now, like I said prior, I recognize everything has its place. So, to each, if they want to do it, they can do it. If they don't have to do it. And, that was to show that I was very successful without it, and I'm successful with it. So it just typically just enhanced me more than probably where I was.
Yeah. But for a whole 9 years, you weren't taking any supplements, and you were able to get the way you are. So what were you eating at that time when you weren't doing supplements?
I was just food, same thing. Now, especially nowadays, we have a lot. Seitan wasn't around back then, so it was mainly tofu, some beans. You have the they like to call mock meats. Bread, a lot of potato, Japanese sweet potato, veggies. Those are my staples, and tofu was a huge staple. Even to this point, I still use tofu, and carbohydrates were the bulk of my intake, which in the bodybuilding world is not necessarily a thing, because most
they're like,
not all, but it's changing a lot, where we recognize that carbs aren't the enemy. It's overconsumption of calories. So I ate a lot of carbs, and to the point where I was shredded, and people will say, how are you shredded but you're eating all these carbs? But that's how my body was operating.
But you need carbs.
Oh, of course. Of course.
Yeah. I know some people that just restrict them, and they're like, well, I don't know them, but I've heard and read and stuff that they're just like eating just like the meat and greens.
That's become a fad now too.
Yeah. I'm like, you need carbs. You need carbs for energy and everything. Okay, so you are IFBB Pro competitor. Tell me what the IFBB, I'm not really knowledgeable about the, bodybuilding world, but what does that stand for? And then also you had a competition recently. Tell me about the outcome of that.
So when I first started competing, I competed naturally. What that means is that was where I would go into competitions and they would drug test you, whether it was urine samples or they would do both, and a lie detector test. So, and I did that for a long time, very competitive, winning, placing in the top 3 all the time. And then I said, you know what? Arnold Schwarzenegger was an IFBB Pro. And all these other guys I was looking up to. And I said, I want to definitely give that a go. Now, in this type of federation, there's no drug testing. And it's an international federation of bodybuilding. And so I decided to take my chances and see how I would do. And once I started doing it, I was successful there as well. And I ended up getting my pro card. And so I started competing as a pro. Now that's a whole different ballgame, because as a pro, you're up against people who are going to take every advantage known to make their bodies look a specific way, if you get what I'm saying. I, on the other hand, wasn't going to do that. I was just going to go ahead and continue with my food and my little bit of supplements here and there. And so I ended up competing, and I still compete, not necessarily doing fantastic, because I don't look at it that way anymore, because that's not what it's about. It's about me continuously improving my physique with what I have, because to a certain extent, some people will consider me at a disadvantage being vegan. And I look at it as, no, I'm still able to build muscle, and I've been doing that since. So I just competed. I did 3 shows this year, and the 3rd show I did was an all-natural IFBB Federation show that was drug tested, but it was only tested after the competition. So the top competitors were drug tested, not everybody else. Way to save money and what have you. So the outcome was not the outcome I actually wanted or desired, but the outcome for me personally was great, because what we accomplished and how I looked was to date my best look, and to the point where I had so many people, even colleagues on stage with me, telling me, "Man, you look amazing," and, you know, judges, what have you. And so the outcome was a little bit, you know, whoa, because I started out as in the top 1 and 2 position, and I ended up in the end of the night at 4th. Still, that was good out of 16 guys.
You're still a winner in my eyes.
Of course,
Okay.
and that's how I presented it when after the competition, but I didn't say my placing. And so some people took it as, "Wait, did you won?" And I said, "No, I didn't say that. I'm still a winner. I'm still winning.
Yes.
I'm still doing my thing."
Yes.
So.
Yes, you still were very successful, and you did a great job, and you looked great.
Thank you.
That's a lot to be proud of, you know. So okay, how do you stay? I feel like all throughout the year round, you look great. How do you keep your body like that year round, especially because when you come out of your competitions, I see you getting it in with your food. You be like, I've been on this strict or this way of eating. I'm about to get my burgers, my French fries. You be getting it in. Okay. So how do you, I never seen you looking chubby or like the stomach abs looking all off. How do you keep your body looking year round dope?
Well, thank you. Thank you. A lot of times it's not necessarily that, you know, because as bodybuilders and people in fitness, we kind of have a different take on how we look. You know, to the general public, we may look really well, but then we'll think, well, no, I'm holding some water and I have a little body fat right here. And so I don't look like I look on stage year round. I'm somewhat off of it. I'm probably about 6 to maybe at the most 10 pounds heavier than when I am when I compete.
I can't tell. It looks perfect all year round to me.
I appreciate it. But, you know, but the way I keep it too is I'm consistently in the gym. I stay active as much as possible. I'm always in the sun as much as possible. Like I just came from laying in the sun before I got on this call. And, you know, I keep my water intake high, which is important when it comes to your body retaining water and the movement of nutrients. And of course, just overall hydration, you know, so those are something, and I keep my eating relatively maintained, you know, but there are still times, you know, I just had a vegan block party that just happened this past weekend where I hosted, and, you know, I ate pretty good there, but it really was pretty much at the end of the day, you know, I had a big bowl of ice cream with some goodies in there, but for the whole entire day, I didn't really have much. So in that sense, your calories aren't gone overboard because I wasn't eating throughout the day.
Right.
You know, pretty much, like,
you saved up your calories for the evening.
Correct. And I do that pretty often too as well.
Yeah. Can you tell me how you eat when you're not competing versus when you are getting ready for a competition, and then your workouts when you're not competing, and then your workouts when you're getting ready for a competition, like how the difference is?
Well, when it comes to the eating, the food is all the same.
Yeah.
What changes is the amount, you know, because as you're getting closer to competition, what I do is my ratios change. My protein is much higher, and my carbohydrates start high, and my fats start high, but they relatively creep downward as we get closer to the competition, because the goal is to create a caloric deficit without losing as much muscle as possible. And the way you do that is by keeping your protein high enough to prohibit muscle loss. And so off season, as we call it, I'm eating probably more of carbohydrates than I am protein sometimes. And that's, you know, but I'm using it as energy while I'm training in the gym, because, you know, in order to grow naturally, specifically, you have to be a little bit over. You don't necessarily have to be super heavyweight to put on muscle, but you know, you do need some of that extra cushion just to kind of help you power through workouts and build muscle.
Can you give me a sample day of how you eat? Um, I know it changes every day. How about just show me what you ate yesterday, and then tell me how you ate like maybe a couple days before competition. Like, give me two different samples so we can all see, so we can see how we can get like you.
Like, and that's another thing too, because a lot of times people ask, I want to eat just like you. That's not really how it works, because we're all unique and our metabolisms are different and our body responds differently, because some people may be able to do 500 grams of carbohydrates in one day and someone else maybe can only do 120.
Right.
It all depends on how metabolism works. But when I'm getting closer to competition, I'm typically eating more seitan and greens and Japanese sweet potatoes, rice cakes. Those are typically in my meals on a day-to-day basis, with asparagus, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, bok choy. These are some of my favorites that I'm naming. And, beans I don't do as much because they tend to have their balance between protein and carbohydrates are almost imbalanced in a sense.
Yeah.
With more carbs than it does protein, but it does have protein. And so I don't eat them as much when I'm getting closer to a competition.
Okay.
Because I'm keeping my ratio and my balance in proportion to how I want to look. Now, when I'm off, not competing, I eat plenty of beans. I had some lentils last night. I'll have more peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. But jelly, I don't use jelly, but I'm just saying jelly. And I love, crunchy peanut butter. Now, crunchy peanut butter, I typically have that all the way up. I don't do as many shakes when I'm not getting ready for competition. It's hard. Like, when I say it's hard, I don't really care to have shakes, because that's, like I told you, I was not into them that much. But when I'm not getting ready for competition, I'm eating more food versus drinking shakes. And I'd rather chew and eat than drink and swallow. So it's much.
Yeah. You want to get.
I get more of an endorphin by chewing and masticating food and getting the digestion going. And of course, the digestion, there's a little bit of metabolism increase because you're digesting food, because the body is using calories in order to digest it. So I may eat more chips. Bonitos are one of my favorite chips. They're just made out of beans. And what else? I eat more ice cream now than I would before, because I can do it when I'm competing, but what it does is it limits my rest of my day. So if I'm going to indulge in some ice cream, then I have to say, okay, you did that. Now, how you make up for that? Not make up, how do you accompany that? So that serving of ice cream, and I think what I found out the other day is a lot of people don't really know what serving sizes are based on the label on the back of any type of container you have, that a certain amount is a serving size. So I had someone tell me that they thought a pint of ice cream was exactly what it said in that box. So if that box said 20 grams of fat, 30 grams of carbs, and 5 grams of protein, they thought that meant the whole thing. And it's like, no, there's 5 servings.
No, it's probably like three spoonfuls.
Correct. So, a lot of people didn't know that. So in that case, I would do that going towards competition. I would just do a serving. Whereas now, I may do 2 servings, or 3 servings,
right.
But my body will bounce back quickly because I'm back in the gym the next day, or I train that day as well. So it continues, even though I'm not as super shredded and lean as I am on the stage, which I love, but it's a little harder to maintain when you want to, indulge in that pecan pie or, that whatever it is, that sweet potato casserole, things like that. So
do you stay in a calorie deficit
no.
Year round, or just closer to competition?
Just closer to competition.
Can I ask how many calories you eat when you are doing that?
When I'm closer to competition?
Yeah.
I think I get as low as 1,500.
1,500. And then what's a average amount you eat normally when you're not competing?
About 3,500, 4,000.
Oh, wow. Wow, that's a lot. And you still stay pretty
Yeah, I think
lean.
because my metabolism has always been fairly fast. It was hard for me to gain size. It took me a long time to finally get to a point where I could start gaining size.
Mm.
And, you know, because I was so active, running track, doing different things, and working out as well. So even back then, people thought I was competing. But I guess to the average person, I was so lean. But I don't remember how lean I was then, but people said I was lean.
Wow. Okay. About how much protein do you eat? How many grams of protein do you eat? You aim to eat per day, average?
Well, now because since I do compete and want to kind of keep it up there, I would say I keep it anywhere between 150 to 185.
Whew, how in the heck do you get that much? Like
Uh,
I mean, I eat protein, but I don't eat that much. Wow, that's a lot. Okay, so like you might have like give me a sample of how that looks. So you might have like tofu for one
like
meal.
tofu scramble with some veggies, and you know, because the veggies itself also has protein. A lot of people don't
Of course.
realize that.
Yeah.
So when I'm at an out, and then I do seitan, if I do, depending on what it is, 2 servings of seitan will be 50 grams of protein. You know, depending on what
Okay.
seitan I'm
It's
using.
about the serving size too.
Right. And so then I'll make these things called seitan balls, which I got from one of my sisters. Her name is Natalie Matthews, Fit Vegan Chef. And you know, we eat about the same
Oh,
type
I
of
know who that is. I mean, I follow her
yeah.
too.
So I got her use her recipe. I make seitan balls with nutritional yeast and you know wheat gluten flour, and one of those balls has about 30 grams of protein. So
Okay.
imagine. So I'm able to eat food and get it. And, you know, there are just days when if I haven't prepared anything, that's when a shake might come in. But if I don't make that amount, I don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Because as
Yeah.
long as I'm satisfied with my day of calories, I'm fine.
Mhm. And how many days a week are you lifting weights? Because that's
5 to
really big. That's a big key in the getting your physique the way it is the weightlifting as well, right?
yes.
Not just the protein and the diet, but the weightlifting is a big component.
Yes. So I do about 5 to 6 days a week.
Do you work one body part per day, or are you doubling up like 2 days a week on legs,
It
upper
all depends.
body?
Like sometimes when I come off a competition, because it was a lot of rigorous training, I tend to deload a little bit, not necessarily in weight, but in focus. So if I'm doing sometimes I do 3 to 4 body parts, 'cause I'm preparing for competition, and usually after I'll focus on my back. So I'll do back one day, I'll do chest one day, I'll do shoulders one day, or I'll add them together, you know, and then I'll get back into my realm of training 3 body parts in one day, and
Okay.
that's how I do it.
Wow. You said three body part. Oh, okay. That's good. Can I just read one question from the question box and then I'll bring it to a close because I know um you gotta go. Actually, where did it go? Okay. Janice Schaefer 14. Nutrition she said nutritionists and scientists here. Competitive building is not sustainable or healthy in the long run due to what restrictive eating does to chemistry and vital functioning organs. Ask him to be honest about using any PEDs to sustain. I'm sorry, what's
Heads,
PEDs?
you know, and that's you know that's the crazy thing about it. When she, you know, just the fact that she said, ask him to be honest. You know, because of this society nowadays, people assume that everybody is dishonest. And so what she's talking about is performance enhancing drugs. That's what PEDs are.
Oh,
So like your steroids, your Anavar, your different drugs that you use to build muscle or to maintain it and what have you. And so it's a bit sad, but I also like it as a compliment because it's saying that my hard work looks as though I had to use drugs in order to get there. And when I say
yes.
that to people, thank you so much for the compliment. They're like, oh, I'm not complimenting you. I'm like, bro,
Yes, you are.
you are in a sense because if I did, I wouldn't be talking to you right now because I would be preparing for Mr. Olympia. I would be Mr. Olympia. I would be the top bodybuilder probably in the world with my genetics if I was using those types of things. And I'm not now. But the cycle, and when she's talking about as far as the vital organs, you know, not sustainable, I think a lot of times people place their own limits on others. And I don't receive people's limitations. That's their own. That's something they have to deal with on their own, and that let them be with that, because it's not up to me to take on what you're limiting yourself and say, oh yeah, that's for me too, because that's not my limit. I'm continuing to improve, and I will continue to grow, even when I compete and not compete. It's not. We don't do it. I don't do it in a manner that's going to cause my body to be like, oh my gosh, and shut down. You know what I mean? So, and as far as performance enhancing drugs, I wouldn't even know how to use them if they were given to me, because first of all, I wouldn't put that in my body. I'm not injecting anything into my body. So,
Yes. So there you have it. I hope your question was answered. And plus, you wouldn't pass the test for those competitions you've done
in the past,
if you did
yeah.
steroids.
So in the past, those ones, they're drug tested with. Now they could go far as getting hair samples and blood samples, but that's expensive, and a lot of the organizations don't have that type of money. So a lot of natural bodybuilders, we're so keen on being natural because we enjoy the process. It's harder, I believe, in my opinion, process to do it naturally, because it's harder on the body because you don't have the drugs giving you the advantage of saying, hey, if I do this, I can hold muscle because this drug is going to keep muscle on me, and I can do a ton of cardio. Because if I do a ton of cardio, I'm sapping away muscle by doing that and making myself look kind of stringy. If you look at the difference between a sprinter and a marathon runner, that's
right.
So.
Oh, last thing. How much cardio do you do? And then tell me your biggest inspiration, and then we'll bring it to a close.
Cardio is a tool, not a necessity. So when it comes to competition, it's something that's added in based on how the body is responding to the current stimuli, meaning what my food intake is, rest, and training. And if we're not getting to where we need to be fast enough, we add in cardio. And we increase cardio incrementally. It starts at like 20 minutes, and we go up maybe 5 to 10 minutes every time, because sometimes small incremental changes make a big difference. And now I probably do 15 to 20 minutes just to kind of maintain, because it's still good for the heart to have this. Because I start doing a lot of cardio for competition, it's amazing how much more energy you have in a different sense cardiovascular, because you're doing so much of it, as you get closer, because I start up.
And you do steady state cardio when you do the 15
minutes. I used to do HIIT,
20.
but HIIT has a lot longer recovery time, even though it's very, very effective.
Yeah.
But, I don't necessarily need it to get to where I need to be. HIIT gets me there so much quicker, but it can also cause a lot of recovery, harder recovery, your joints, all that different things. So biggest inspiration, I don't know, myself, my mom.
Oh, I love it.
But I never really had someone I was like looked up to, other than I looked up to the Arnold Schwarzenegger for bodybuilding because of what he was able to accomplish with it. But as far as inspiration, I can't place him there, so yeah.
Well, thank you so much. I'm trying to keep it. I went a little bit over. Oh God, I got to bring it to a close because I went over 9 minutes past the time I told you. So, Torre, it's been a pleasure. It's been an honor, because I've been knowing you, even though you don't know me, even though you don't remember meeting me. But it's been such an honor, just following you and seeing you're a big inspiration to all of us. And I thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me today and just sharing your journey, your story. There's like so many more questions I could ask you. I could be here all day with you, and I apologize to everyone who I didn't get to your comments and everything. Feel free to send Torre an inbox. No, I'm just kidding.
You can.
If you have any questions.
People, they always ask me, oh, you got tons of DMs. Yeah, I think I don't get that. I don't get tons. I get a lot, but not tons.
Yeah.
When I have the opportunity, I do respond.
And I appreciate that, because a lot of people that have a high following, I see that they see my message, when I'm trying to book people, and they just ignore it. And I'm like, come on now. You ain't all that. No, I'm just playing. No, the point is that I appreciate you responding and being down to come on my show today. I enjoyed you. I thank you so much. Everybody, make sure you go follow Torre Washington. Go to his bio. He has a YouTube channel as well. And he also has a website, and he coaches celebrities and bodybuilders. So if you need to get your body in shape, hit him up on his website and learn. You can learn from him. So make sure you guys go follow him. Follow me as well. Thank you guys so much. Up next, let's see, Wednesday the 14th, I'll be interviewing Southern Vegan Eats at 5:30 p.m. PST. So make sure you guys join me. And thank you, Tori.
Tell them I said hi.
Have a blessed day. Huh?
I said, tell Southern Veganese I said hi.
Oh, you know, oh, okay, I will. Thank you. Bye.
Have a good one.
And thank you, everybody.